Welcome, friends. Today, we're doing another unboxing video. Marvellous. So today we have two fragrances to unbox, both vintage versions. One of them is very discontinued. I don't know if the other one is, or if it isn't discontinued, it's been reformulated into oblivion. But this is definitely a vintage bottle. I have bought both of these last year, but I couldn't do this video until now because one, I'd lost my sense of smell, and two, I simply couldn't be chewed to do the video. I was absolutely knackered. Like, I've had, well, not the biggest C, but a smaller C, you know. The famous ick that's been doing the rounds for the last 3 years. I had that the first time I've had it. I was quite unwell, but now I am back. Thank God for medical science. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. Hydrating was the only thing I could do at one point, goodness me. Anyway, without any further ado, I will reveal to you the first of these fragrances. And the first of these fragrances is called Giorgio Beverly Hills for Men VIP Special Reserve. Whew. I'm telling you, I pretty much couldn't have said that this time last week. That is too many syllables. Oof. This, I don't know, I think this is a tester. But fortunately it has a cap, or a hat, as the man I bought it from called it. Because I think it was lost in translation, that one. But I think this might have been a tester, but I do not care. This was bought by me from Italy. There is a seller called, is it Profumo di Lauro? Or Profumery di Lauro? I'll leave a link to his eBay store if you like. Brilliant. Fantastic to deal with. Don't think he ships to the USA though. He's had too many parcels intercepted. I have never had any problems as far as getting parcels from him. Thank God. And I've bought some magnificent stuff from him. The Etros, all the Etros I've bought have been from him. Maybe it's with the exception of one or two. Lots of stuff. I'd have to go through my eBay history basically. But I got in touch with him away from eBay, and now we just deal. He gives us the savings basically. So we deal off eBay. Fantastic. This is a 1988 release. Conflicting reports, some saying that it's 1987, but I believe it was 1988. Big notes. Well, we'll go on Fragrantica. Give us a second. We'll go to Fragrantica and see what that says, because as we know, Fragrantica's never wrong. Sorry, I couldn't even say that without coughing. That was the evil. That was the evil brought on by uttering those words. So, according to Fragrantica, the notes are cardamom, bergamot, aldehydes, and mandarin orange. Middle notes are patchouli, big patchouli, cinnamon, sandalwood, orris root, rose, carnation, and Virginia cedar. And the base notes are oak moss, benzoin, musk, amber, vanilla, leather, and tonka bean. This sounds like it would be right up my street. So, since there is no box to unbox, I will simply take its hat off and spray it. Bah, that lid's cheap and nasty, but that's how we like it sometimes. Spray as pants. I mean, it sprays, but it's got one of those, like, you know, that where it doesn't spray very far, but it comes out like as like a cloud, you know. Oh, that's smelling very. Oh yes. Dry patchouli, oak moss, something spicy, dry spice. Getting the aldehyde, strangely enough. Carnation. I really like carnation. I think it's because I associate it with like vintage fragrances, you know. So it's like carnation was like the male floral, or like in inverted quotes, the male floral back in the day. You would see it in all like the like the classic men's releases and stuff, you know. Pairing that with rose would always seem to indicate like the heart of a male fragrance back in the 40 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Oh, some of the aldehydes: cardamom, cinnamon, patchouli. It doesn't smell like Balenciaga Pour Homme, but it's cardamom, cinnamon, patchouli, and oak moss. It has that in common with Balenciaga Pour Homme. It's got that kind of full, dry kind of vibe. It's very nice. It's very nice. I may have paid too much for this though, you know. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. The spices are so dry. Incredibly dry. It's very full. It's very classic. It's got that. It's very 80s, you know. This is a 125ml bottle. I think I paid about 100 quid, including shipping. So it's not bad. I've seen heinous prices for this, really. I'm not sure I would pay like the kind of prices people are asking for. I know that Giorgio Beverly, that's actually really becoming very nice. The rose is becoming more apparent in it. So's the orris, like the irisy sort of thing. Got a little bit of Karl Lagerfeld cologne as well. That's very nice. It's very well blended. At the top, it starts off a little bit harsh, a little bit dry and not caustic, but, you know, imagine licking something very dry. It's got that kind of vibe, you know. Oh. You know what this could really do with? What it could really do with a little bit of honey, you know. But then it would turn into Balenciaga Pour Homme if you kept adding things like that to it. Really nice. This, very nice. The patchouli's dry. It's earthy, like dry earth. Strangely. It's not syrupy, it's not thick. Very dry, nice fragrance. I like this. I do like this. It's different from other stuff I've got in that it's, for me, the thing I'm getting from this is like a warmth and a dryness, you know? Smells very powerful, smells very strong. I'm getting my sense of smell back, so that's a boon, you know. I wouldn't be able to do it. This is why I didn't do the video. I didn't have my sense of smell for like a week. That was frightening, I can tell you. I was looking at all of these perfumes thinking, have I just wasted the last 20 years of my life? But no, it's coming back. Okay, so next. Now, I don't know everything about this next fragrance. It was very kindly sent to me by a friend, Rabbit. He sent me a sample out the goodness of his heart and said, here, Rich, smell this. And so I did smell it. And I thought, by gum, that's nice. I'll keep an eye out for some of that. And it took a few weeks of smelling it every few days to think to myself, do I want to own this? And then I was worried because I thought to myself, I'm going to end up finding a bottle and it's going to be one of the reformulated ones, because this brand went through some hideous reformulations. And I think one of the reasons that the vintages of these go for so much money is because the reformulations were so abject. Even the most ardent of reformulation. I don't want to call them reformulation deniers because they're not reformulation deniers. What they are is people will say that reformulation isn't that big of a deal, you know? And to be fair, in a lot of instances, they're right. Okay, there is some hysteria around reformulations of which I am not innocent, but that's what I like to collect. That's what I like to do. I like to find old versions of things, you know? It's just a facet of my personality of which I have gone into with perfume. I used to do it with cars and stuff like that when I was younger. I preferred like old cars and stuff. Anyway, balls to that. This brand was taken over in the mid-90s and their perfumes were absolutely ruined, and the perfumer was so staunch in his approach that he refused to do the bidding of the umbrella company which bought the brand. And so I think he ended up leaving, and they reformulated all his work, and everybody, I mean, almost everybody will tell you that the newer versions of this house's perfumes are not what they used to be. And if you hadn't guessed by now, I will show you. This is from the house of Jean Patou, Ma Liberte. Ma Liberte was a fragrance launched and marketed towards women. And when I smelled this, I thought to myself, yeah, it's soft. Yeah, I can see why they would launch it towards like the female market in 1987 when it was released. But even by my standards, most of my perfumes are masculines. I've got quite a few female-leaning perfumes, but it's stuff like opium and cocoa, which are like amber floral. This is an amber floral, to be fair. And they're like ambery sort of things, you know, femme roche. Some of my favourite perfumes are like female perfume. This was apparently for women, even though it doesn't say for women on it. But this, you could easily pull this off. This is much more, to me, this is much more masculine than most masculine fragrances that are released today. Certainly in a classic context, when you compare it to stuff like this, you know, with that big horrible oak moss and that big bastard patchouli that they have, you know? So, in that context, I thought to myself, I'm having this Ma Liberte, and I want a vintage, and I found one off a seller I have used called Amy Pharmacy on eBay. I think they've still got a 50ml, but it's like 95 quid. I've paid about 140 for this, for 100ml. So yes, I will get on with the unboxing. Here we go. Ooh, try not to tear this. The sticker has not been, well, the glue that held it together has not been, has not held up to the sands of time. The box, a little bit dry. Let's have a look. Sorry, this is not the most edifying content visually, but here we go. Oh, it was in backwards. Unbelievable. What a bottle. Okay, so I'm going to keep the box in its little plastic prison. Sorry about that box. In you go. Okay. So, released in 1987, the in-house perfumer for Jean Patou was, of course, Jean Colliot. And there are famous stories about how staunch he was as far as his approach to perfume was concerned anyway. He would not change his style. He was asked to release an aquatic, cologne, citrusy, blue kind of thing in the mid-90s, and he said, yes, of course, I will. So he took his usual sandalwood base with oak moss and all the things that made Jean Patou great, and he put a cologne note at the top, because fuck them. And I appreciate that attitude, I really do. You know, he didn't compromise on what he believed. And while at the time he suffered for it, by, I think, losing his job or retiring, he never made, I don't believe he's ever made maybe that Voyageur was a bad fragrance, but when Jean Patou was owned by Jean Patou, he made fragrances like Patou Pour Homme, like Ma Liberté, that just the finest ingredients, like not even just by the standards of the time, you know, they were legendary for their ingredients. Like, I'm not just saying it because of like the vintage aspect to it, just like back in the day, Patou did what other houses tell you they do now. Traveling the world, taking the finest ingredients from region to region and blending them together. Brands tell you that they do that now. They may travel the world looking for ingredients, but they aren't the best ones, and they certainly don't mix them as well as this man did. His fragrances, everything I've smelled by him, has been brilliant. Both blending and ingredient. But anyhow, I shall tell you the notes for this. Top notes: lemon and heliotrope. Middle notes: lavender, cloves, jasmine and rose. Base notes: nutmeg, musk, patchouli, cinnamon, sandalwood, vanilla, cedar and vetiver. Fantastic. I do love a good nutmeg. One of the things that attracted me to this fragrance was actually the lavender. The lavender's so well done. So well made, it's so well done. Oh, it's such a smart bottle. Right, I'm going to spray it on. Hold on. Oh, spray shit. Not to worry. So when I smelled my little decant that Rabbit very kindly sent me, here it is. This is the eau de toilette, by the way. Apparently there's an eau de parfum as well. God almighty, the fucking lavender's beautiful. It is truly one of the finest lavender notes I have ever smelled. I love lavender. Like, have like a lot of perfumes with lavender in, you know, and this is one of, if not the finest lavender note. Oh, it's hard to believe when you smell this that it was ever marketed towards women. Now, I don't know that it was. Nowhere on the box says that it's pour femme, you know, but I believe from the little bit of reading that I've done, again, this is just an unboxing, even though it's kicking on for 20 minutes, that this was a female marketed fragrance, you know? But what a fragrance. Lavender. The lavender shines. Sandalwood. A little bit of muskiness. Lemon is very smooth. Like, the lemon's still there. It hasn't left. It hasn't bailed. You know, citrus notes often do. This one hasn't. I get a little bit of the heliotrope. I'm not a big fan of heliotrope. But I get just a tiny little bit of it. Just little inflections. Little, like, dancing, like, flecks of it. I'm getting spice. Spicy spice. Clove, nutmeg sort of thing. It's deep, it's rich, it's clean, and it's clear. It's very clear. There's a lot of clarity to Jean Curlio's fragrances. He was a class, he was a class act. I mean, as a perfumer, there have been few better. This, oh, it's absolutely stunning. This is so smooth. You know, it's so smooth. It's one of those fragrances, I've described it before, where if you're not looking for a certain note, it's hard to pick one out. And yet, when you do go to smell a certain note, you can pick it out straight away. Clove, just a little bit though. Just a little bit of dryness. Cinnamon, sandalwood, but mainly lavender for me. And it's absolutely gorgeous. These are two fragrances which have absolutely improved my collection. This is the new criteria, the new standard for my fragrance collections, my fragrance collecting. I haven't bought anything this year. I will be, I haven't stopped buying, but it must improve the collection. I'm becoming a lot more strict on what comes in now, you know, and there are going to be some fragrances that leave the collection. I'm looking to try and sell off quite a few fragrances this year because I want to use what I've got, you know. So, with that said, I hope to be doing a live stream again very shortly, maybe tonight. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. I will see you again soon. Bye.